Okay, guys, so we are here today with two of our favorite travel vloggers, Thomas and Sheena from Chasing a Plate. And if you guys are not familiar with their channel, you have to go check it out. They are way more adventurous than we are when it comes to foods, but we just love watching their channels. And lately, during the quarantine, they've been doing a lot of make it home recreations that are awesome. So make sure you go check out that series on their channel. And I don't know, Sheena, Thomas, do you guys want to maybe just give a quick introduction about yourselves, about the channel?
Your thing.
We're Thomas and Sheena from Chasing a Plate. We travel the world and search for the best local food. So we've been traveling for about 4 years, full time now, and just hunting down the best local food. So really hoping to share with you those hidden gems, really small family-run businesses doing exciting things. That's really our jam. We just go where the good food is.
Awesome. All right, so why don't you guys tell us a little bit about where you were. Obviously, we're all living in this kind of unbelievable, feels like the Twilight Zone world right now. You guys were on the road like we were when all this started to hit. So what was that like, trying to figure out what to do, how to get home?
It was an interesting situation. When we first started hearing rumors, we were in India. And, like a lot of people, early on, this is back in January, like, it's
right.
just a
thing.
Fine. It'll be fine. And then we went to Nepal and we started to think, this is not looking that fine. But then we already had planned to leave Nepal and we were heading to Eastern Europe. And this was still very early on. There were early rumors. But so at that point we thought, okay, I think it's good we're getting out of Asia. And we were quite happy to be leaving Asia. Right. And then we were in Eastern Europe. And then it was about 3 weeks into our sort of travel through Poland and Croatia and whatnot. And we thought, oh gosh, this is really coming strong and this is not good. And then when it really started to hit, we were in Serbia and we had real worries about, are we going to be able to leave and cross the border? We had a land crossing into Hungary and that crossing was actually fine, although customs went through all of our bags, took everything out of our bags. And when a lady questioned why they were looking at our things, the answer was, we're checking for coronavirus, which I thought was an interesting thing to find. Okay. That's interesting to look in our bags, maybe look in our mouths. But so that crossing was okay. And then we were in Hungary, in Budapest, and we thought, we have to go. We need to go ASAP. And luckily we had no travel plans.
Which is quite unusual for us. Like we were only booked a week ahead and that was to head to Poland.
We had one bus ride. We had 1 week of Airbnb booked. That was it. So highly unusual for us.
Yeah, we had 8 more weeks, scheduled out.
That was fun.
Anyway, So 1 more week and then you, where did you fly from Poland to?
We were in Budapest. We never made it to Poland. The border's shut. So while we were in Hungary, we were thinking we need to leave. Maybe we shouldn't go to Poland. And then the decision was made for us. The news came up, borders closed, no entry to foreigners. So we thought, okay, we have to leave now.
We just didn't want to get stuck in Europe because obviously it's really expensive. And we were like, there's no way we're going to be able to just camp out here.
To do this. So we were combing flights. And our initial thought was, let's go to Asia and hunker down somewhere, Bangkok or KL or somewhere where we would be able to get an apartment. But that very quickly within hours, turned into no, New Zealand. We had to go back to our home. And so we jumped on basically the only flight option there was. And we, within about 2 days, I think it was, we were sort of from booking, we were here. So we left as quick as we could really we found the cheapest as quick as possible, the cheapest flight.
Now, were your flights full coming back or were they relatively empty?
The first flight was eerie because there was just no one on there. There were like 40 people on the flight. On a
wide body, A330, we flew from Budapest to Qatar and I have a photo of me with an empty plane. Just me and seats,
Yeah.
not a soul.
It was weird.
And there were about 40 people in the whole plane, designed for 350 people. And for some reason, all of them were in the very, very, very back of the plane. But we're
all together.
they sat us at the very front. So we had this private cabin.
Wow, nice.
And then our second flight was from Qatar to Auckland.
And
and that was packed, 100%. There were like 2 seats I saw that were empty. So that was very full with New Zealanders. Sort of, it looked like New Zealanders from all over Europe, and surprisingly quite a lot of tourists. This was late March.
Yeah. Right. It was strange to see.
Mid-March, actually, and there were a lot of tourists still at that point. So, which was surprising, but a lot of Kiwis trying to get back to New Zealand.
Sure. Yeah, sure. Yeah, we experienced something similar. We had just landed, and we were doing a Northern Lights tour, and but we were starting in Ireland and then in Scotland, and then we were going to go on up to Norway and Finland and all that. We got to Scotland because we were the same way. And actually, when we left for Ireland, it had started in China, but we thought, it'll be okay. And then it just kept getting worse and worse. And by the time we landed in Scotland, the U.S. started, shutting down flights. And we're like, okay, we gotta do this. So we were fortunate to get a flight home, and our flight home from London was pretty packed. Yeah. But then we flew into Boston and Boston to Indy, and the flight from Boston to Indy, there were 6 people on the plane. It was a small, but it was weird. It was
basically the same thing. You could take a picture and all you saw were seats.
Yeah. So, Boston International Terminal was packed. You get to the domestic side, and it was just like ghost town.
Nothing.
I mean, it was just so
Really?
unnerving. Yeah. So we were certainly glad you guys made it safely home and have been hunkered down there for a while. So what's that been like there? I mean, New Zealand's done a great job, compared to everywhere else.
It was very much, I think what has been great is the decisive action by the government. It was just very clear from the beginning, I felt.
Yeah, we got home mid-March, and about 3 days before we got home, the border was completely closed. As nationals, we were obviously allowed in, but to foreigners, the border was just after. Sorry, so those tourists that were on our flight, they were allowed in, but a few days after the border was completely closed.
But it was always very clear. The message from the government was like, we're doing this, you're not allowed to do this, you're allowed to do this. So I felt like just the state of the nation was quite calm.
Yeah.
And
information has been accessible all the time. Daily briefings from the Prime Minister and the health officials, putting information out there, answering basic questions as well, not just focusing on the little things like, no, you cannot do that. And a simple thing like, can I visit my mother who's
right,
example, but very clear. So I feel people have understood from the get-go what they can and can't do. We've been here almost 7 weeks, and we essentially have only left the house about 4 times to go to the supermarket and come back. And we're also allowed to go for a walk just in our very small neighborhood, basically around the block.
Yeah. Okay. So you still haven't really seen any family then?
No, we haven't seen anyone. It's so strange.
Getting keys thrown at.
Yeah. We saw my parents dropped a car. They picked us up at the airport. They dropped a car. They brought 2 cars. They dropped us off, threw the keys at us. We did an elbow bump, and that is the extent of contact we've had with family for coming up 2 months.
It's so weird.
It's very strange to be so close, which is unusual for us, but not seeing anyone.
Yeah, this is probably the longest you guys have been there for this length of time in a while, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, we're not home often at all. And so
we haven't lived here since 2012, so it's the first time in quite a long time spending time here.
So with that comes the next question of what have you been doing to keep your sanity during this time?
Lots and lots of...
A few cocktails or a lot, maybe?
Oh, yes. Definitely a few cocktails.
It's like cocktail every night.
Reacquainting with a few of the local beers that I enjoyed in my youth.
There you go. Hey. Well, so cooking, and I know you guys go for walks a lot, and you went to the beach not too recently, fairly recently, right?
Yeah. So walks, and we're very close to the coast, so we can go to the beach, we can collect shellfish, and then it's cooking for us, which is a funny thing because we're so into food. We like cooking, but we never get to cook. So for the last 4 years, we haven't had a kitchen. And as you guys will well know, and anyone who's stayed in an Airbnb, generally they have one knife that doesn't really cut anything.
Right.
It's next to useless because it's about this big.
Right.
And two plates, one that's cracked. So cooking when you're on the road is difficult. It's very basic. So it's nice to be back. We're staying, some family have lent us their house or a holiday home so that we've got a nice kitchen. So we've done lots of cooking, and then we decided to make street food at home to make content for the channel. So we're trying to redo recipes that we've had, flavors that we've had, bring them back here to the home kitchen and recreate those experiences via the flavors. So that's been our sort of become our hobby and our fun while we've been here at home.
It seems y'all have done a good job at it too, recreating all those.
Yeah, everything's looked so good, but we're like, I don't know if we try that or not. Particularly the, standing on the board to flatten out the tortillas. I don't know about that.
We've enjoyed the fact that we've had to be a bit inventive with rules and techniques because we've only got what we've got, ingredients wise and tools wise. So it's been a fun task.
It's actually been neat because and where we are as well, we're sort of out in the country a bit, so the supermarket's sort of half an hour away, and obviously the diversity in the food that's available is not great compared to the city. So having to use what we've got in the pantry and substitute stuff and all of that's been super fun because hopefully that sort of inspires people who are maybe in the same situation as us, you don't actually have to have the ingredients. You can sort of play around and sort of adapt stuff and
Sure.
I like it going by taste, just taste and smell, and just trying to put all those together.
Yeah. It's been fun for us to watch. So, and I think that's a great segue into, what you've recreated these dishes, and I don't know if these are your favorites or the ones that you thought you'd be able to recreate. So what are your favorite food experiences, in your travels or in what you're doing today or, any of that?
Wow.
This is a hard one.
Can I go first?
Yeah.
I'll try and do rapid fire rather than linger on a 10-minute story because they bring back so many memories I like to talk. Some very memorable ones, I think, are fish sandwiches in Istanbul, sitting right on the Bosphorus, seagulls all around, the ferries, this incredible spiced fish sandwich, essentially actually like a wrap, just unbelievably good. The butter chicken in India, which is one of the ones we recreated in our Street Food at Home series, just so memorable. Just that first bite, just mind-blowing, the amount of butter involved, just unreal. Oh man, it's so hard to pinpoint.
Should I jump in?
You do a few.
Okay. This is all street food in India. Just
going broad.
Going broad. But just the street food culture in India, I just feel so alive when I'm out there. Snacking and being amongst all the people, and it's loud, it's crazy, there's animals everywhere, it's hot, it's smelly, it's just you just feel so invigorated, I suppose. So just the street food in India.
Can I do one?
Yeah.
A meal we recently had in Vietnam called Bún Thạc Nong, and it was right on the street. A little lady, so cute, biggest smile, just she was gorgeous. It was one of these meals where we communicated so much with zero language. We do not speak a word of Vietnamese. She did not speak a word of English. There was no common tongue. And it was just gorgeous. The food, for one, was unbelievably good. The setting was amazing. She was just a lovely person, so kind, open to us, appearing with a camera and shoving it all around her stall. Such a memorable meal.
And what was the food? What was it? What was it she made?
So it was a Bún Thạc Nong, which is a rice noodle, pork cooked over the grill, rice noodles, a whole lot of herbs, just punchy flavors from these fresh herbs, a little bit of chili, sticky pork cooked over charcoal, right on the sidewalk. Just,
oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Be hungry.
Yeah.
One for me. In Cambodia, they start their day often with broken rice and like a grilled sticky pork chop. But at this particular stall, it was actually the stalls were inside a school, and so you had the school fence, and the public had to sit like on the footpath outside the school, and then the vendors would like pass over the fence and like clean the tables through the fence with like a
bamboo
stick with a rag on it. And yeah, it was really neat. They were so friendly and lovely. Actually, Cambodia was magical. Like the people were just so generous of spirit. And so we had a lot of amazing experiences in Cambodia.
So they're probably some of the recent ones. There is hundreds more that we could
Thousands.
talk about, but we don't want to go on all day.
Sure. So let me just ask you this. I mean, and I don't, who knows when all this is going to end, but do you guys have any idea what your plans are going to look like once travel is safe again?
It's a great question, and it's something that we've been pondering because how do you plan? You can't. We can't go book a trip and be like, hey, 6 months, she'll be right.
Right.
Doesn't mean that way. So New Zealand is opening up a bit. So we definitely want to travel in New Zealand. Right. We love our own backyard. There is just the produce here is unbelievable, be it from the land or the sea. It's just incredible produce. And while there's not a huge food culture here, there is some cultural food, but a lot of our influence in the non-ethnic food comes from England. So it's quite English in its base, but the quality of the ingredients, we want to jump on the hills and sing about it because it's unbelievably good. It's so much fertile land.
And so many small producers from there, like an artisan producers, boutique staff, like lots of families doing really just interesting things and making great food from the incredible produce.
Sure.
So our initial sites are definitely trying to explore New Zealand once the possibility is there, and then it's really playing it by ear for us. So there is talk of the New Zealand Australia travel bubble forming, so that travel might be possible. Who knows though? So we're not focusing too far in the future. We're just looking a step or two ahead and planning as we learn.
Yep. Yeah, I think everybody here is doing the same thing. A lot of the other travel vloggers that we know here, we're all, okay, what kind of road trip can we do? Because we know we have to stay in the States, so.
We have plenty of places we can go.
Yeah. But
not a lot of choice.
But so much variance.
There is. So we're excited about that. And we so appreciate you guys taking the time to be on here today.
Not at all.
All right, guys. So I inadvertently hit the stop record button before we, finished out. We were at the end of our chat with Thomas and Sheena, but we didn't give a proper closing.
Yes. So we do really appreciate them, allowing us to do this little interview with them, and we hope that you all enjoyed it.
Yeah, and it's I think hearing what's going on in other areas and how they're handling this situation is a great way to stay connected to everybody. And we definitely urge you to go check out their channel. It's great. They eat some interesting things and visit interesting, really, really local places.
And they're a lot of fun to watch.
They're a lot of fun. They're fun people. The videos are great. And right now with their at-home street food recreations, that's been a great series. So make sure and check them out. We'll make sure and link them below and up here. And we thank you guys so much for watching. And just remember, until next time,
Live your best life.
Bye, y'all.
See ya.